Yes, for that is Rachel Dashiell, contributor, Schwab Network. Rachel, all right, let's take a look at this chart. I was not paying attention to this one, and I took a look at this, and I thought it looked very interesting. But tell us about, I know you start with a kind of a short-term look. Tell us about what you're seeing in terms of trends on the chart for Zillow.
So in the short term, looking at a 6-month, one-day chart, in the short term, we've had a structural uptrend. So it's been nothing but higher highs, higher lows for the last 6 months or so. And we can see that back in November, during our last earnings announcement, we gapped up above that previous resistance, now new support around that 65 level, which now really acts as that new short-term support. And then we made, after that breakout, we made those all-time highs around 84. So that really still sits there as our overall resistance level as we kind of trade within this range. So looking forward to this earnings announcement coming up in over the next couple of weeks here, and we'll see a lot of traders typically possibly using those support or resistance levels to place those stops or those profit targets.
Okay, and then I know you often like to zoom out when you look at these charts. So, and I know you have a longer term chart. I believe you have a 10-year chart to take us through. What does that look like?
Yeah, so this longer term chart, I put it on a log scale just to show those percentage movements since it's a longer time. So this really shows the characteristic of what the longer term trend has been alike. So the longer term trend looks a little bit different. It almost looks like a little bit more of a range or basing pattern that we're working our way through. So that 65 zone to 85 that I called out before on the shorter term, you can really see how the market's shown the significance of that level, where we may see in the longer term investors will put their orders to possibly close out their positions or open new ones as well. But typically with those basing patterns that we see where it almost looks like a little bit of a cup within a range, typically we see those as longer term accumulation patterns there as well. So you can just see long-term resistance is that zone that we talked about around 85, and longer-term support is around that level of 30 that's been touched many times over the last few years too.
All right, there's a longer-term chart for you for Zillow. It'll be interesting to see what happens in terms of today's market action, if it kind of gets swept up with the overall downdraft that we're expecting. Rachel Dashiell, contributor on the Schwab Network, thanks a ton for the deep dive into that chart for Zillow.